Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tsiling's Buddhist Temple's live stream Sunday service here today on November 8th. If everyone at home can please join me in Gasho. There is no place the moon does not shine, but it only illuminates in the heart of those who gaze at it. Honin Shonin. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Okay, today's sutra chanting will begin with Sambujo on page 24 of the large purple service book, followed by Juseige, and I believe that's on page 91 of the large purple service book.
Saw Oh
Okay, if everyone on the live stream can either stand or join us in Gasho for the Gata Namo Amida Butsu on page 174, large purple service book, and that will be followed by the threefold refuge by Minister Assistant Bill Wurtenberg on page 10.
The threefold refuge. Difficult is to receive a human form, now we are living it. Difficult is to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not cross over the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear it and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Good morning, everyone. I'm the minister assistant from the Watsonville Buddhist Temple. My name is Bill Wurtenberg. I think this is the first time I've been here. And thank you for inviting me. I'd like to open up with our reading. Please join me in Gasho. Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die, so let us be thankful. Nam Mommy Dubs.
Nam Mommy Dubs.
Nam Mommy Dubs. Nam Mommy Dubs. So again, thank you very much for inviting me in. I'll start off with, I'm gonna do my Dharma talk first, then Nick will follow. Just start out with one word, and it's like, wow. What a week we had this week. I think that I experienced a full range of emotions this week, and the week kind of started out with anticipation, then went to excitement, and then maybe to dread when we were doing our voting, and then to anxiety and to fear. And then we waited, and we waited, and we waited, until yesterday we had the answer to who won the election. And I hope you all voted. I mean, I truly do. Whether you voted for one or the other, it doesn't make any difference. I just hope you voted. Because I always said, if you didn't vote, you can't complain. I mean, you just can't complain. You weren't part of the process. So the outcome could be to like your liking or not, but the outcome is completed and the voting process is done. I don't think 2020 will be soon forgotten. In the near future, most of us can look back at important moments in our life and we remember these really well. But how do we remember 2020? I'll give you examples are, it's one of my favorite songs, but it says, there are places I remember, some have gone and some remain. And I think that sums up pretty much how we live our lives. When we look back, and there's significant things that happen through our lives. I mean, I'm going to be 69 this year, so I've been around for a little while. Not as long as some people, more than others. And things that I remember. And I think these are things that you remember is because you remember exactly where you were when these things happened. The moon landing, how old you were, what you were doing when it happened. When Kennedy was shot, I remember exactly where I was. I was in 6th grade, and it was like afternoon class. I remember the end of the Vietnam War. I was in the Navy. You remember your first kiss? Everybody will remember the earthquake we had in the 80s. And you remember when you got married. And there's more things that you remember, but it just eludes you, and you'll think back. Or you'll hear something or something that kind of kicks your memory and tells you, I was here when I heard this. There's a specific place and time. There was a song that I liked when I was younger. And I remember I could sing this song. As being a teenager and older and stuff, and people look at me, that I could sing Frank Sinatra songs. And I prided myself in being able to sing. I want to sing like Frank. I didn't want to be a Beatles. I want to be like Frank Sinatra. But the song it was a very good year when I was 17, 32, 45, 50, and on and on and on. And when I was singing the song, I was about 17. So I could understand what 17 was, but I couldn't understand all the other range of emotions that I had. But I think I know now what he's singing about, because I understand I hope I'm not in the twilight of my years, but I'm in, maybe early sunset or something. I just don't want to think I'm being that oil. But people talk about how slow time passes. And time doesn't pass that slow. I mean, I think it's only slow when you're watching the pot that you're going to boil and put the ramen noodles in, or you're cooking rice. That's slow. But I think of myself I'm on this freight train. I'm downhill, brakes are gone, throttle's wide open, and I'm just heading to the end. And you think about how when you're younger, you never thought about it. When you're younger, you want to be older, now you're older, you want to be younger. Why can't we ever make up our mind? But we always don't really live in the moment that we should be living in, the moment that's right now. We're always thinking about what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do tomorrow. And you kind of lose things. I have a very good friend that I was in the Vietnam War, but I was in the Navy, and I was sitting off the coast and didn't really experience much combat. And my friend was deep in the combat, and all he talks about, and my kids remember this, is, you know, that he talks about the Vietnam War, how this happened, or how happened this. And I always tried to talk to my friend and say, no, you need to think about what's going on now. But he was firmly planted in the past. And one thing that happened for him that changed his life totally was not me talking to him. I would like to think that I was that good talking to people that I could convince them of things. But he had a granddaughter, and the granddaughter changed everything for him. I'm happy for him because now he's living the life in the moment and is living life more. We can't change the past, yet we should never forget it. Because if we forget the past, we're destined to repeat it. And in our American history, our past is not the best. You know, we look at ourselves as being a great country, but we have a lot of things that we could really regret and we'd really like to change. The Dalai Lama says, and I really like this saying, there are only 2 days there's 2 days that we cannot change, and that is the past and the future. We can only change how we live in the present. This year has obviously been one of the most screwed up years that we've ever had and will not be soon forgotten. The year has been challenging, to say the least. I mean, really challenging. We've had challenges on our family life. I mean, I've seen my grandkids, but it's like, you know, when you hug your grandkids goodbye and they're going like this, you know, or like this. We're making up hugs that don't actually are hugs. We haven't seen them. But I think that this has brought out the best and the worst of us. And I like to look at the best. We've had people step forward. We've had people that have just done wonderful jobs. We have people that come here to the church. You know, Nick and I and David are like we're in indentured servitude to Reverend Shinseki. I mean, it's like we're always doing Dharma talks and we're always teaching and stuff like that, which I thoroughly enjoy. But there's people that, like, we have 2 people here, Tommy and Maruko this morning, comes every Sunday, sets up this wonderful lighting arrangement and the sound and does the production for us. And Nick and I would just show up and do the service. We're actually doing the easy stuff. But we've seen heroic deeds from our first responders, and we've seen failures. I mean, we have seen failures. I think this shows us truly how interconnected we really are in this. We've had to come together as sanghas. We've had to come together as communities to be able to try to keep our life in a semblance of normal. And it's been good. I mean, it's been hard. I had to laugh. I think one of the hardest things has been for me is that, you know, my wife and I, we've been married 47 years this year, but we haven't been married 47 continuous, 365, 24/7 married. And now we don't get to go out, we see each other. We probably talk more than we have in years, and it's been better. But so, just remember, when things are getting tough, and I mean when everything's going wrong, and you don't feel really good, my suggestion to you is to take a minute and walk over in front of your home shrine, your Butsudan, stand there and put your palms together, and just bow your head and say Namo Amida Butsu. Take a deep breath, say it again, take a bigger breath, and say it again, and things will feel better. You will feel right. It just will make you feel better to know that you're standing there and you know that Amida's light is shining on you, that know that you have, it's not a backup, it's just, you're just going to feel better. Because in the classes I'm taking, there's a really, I'll say this really quick, is that Shinran is saying that when you say the Nembutsu, is that you're getting one little step, one notch closer to becoming and obtaining Shinjin, or entrusting mind. So I can't tell you, and nobody can tell you when you reach that point, but say Namo Amida Butsu one time, and you've taken one step closer. And if you continue to do this, though, I think things will be better in your life if you just take that time to relax and clear your head. So I know we're all hoping that 2020 is going to be over soon. 2021 is going to be better. We're hoping going back to normal. So until then, just remember, if times are tough, just bow your head. And even if you're any place, just in your head, do a mental exercise, say Namo Amida Butsu. And with that, I'm going to close, and I would like to have me read a closing reading here. Will you please join me in Gasho? As you walk and eat and travel, be where you are. Otherwise, you miss most of your life. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce my counterpart here this morning, Mr. Nick San Juan. He's the resident minister at, he's not resident minister, minister assistant. I gave you a promotion this morning, Nick. But he's a minister assistant at Monterey. Please sit back and you know, listen to his words. Nick he's very profound.
Please join me in Gasho for a reading before my Dharma talk. From the words of Shinran Shonin. When through Amida's directing of virtue to them by the power of the vow, the foolish beings, ever floundering in birth and death, hear the true and real virtues and realize supreme Shinjin. They immediately attain great joy and reach a state of non-retrogression, so that without being made to sunder their blind passions, they are brought quickly to the realization of great nirvana. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Bill, again, thank you for a great introduction, and I'm sorry we had to tell you this way, Shinseki Sensei. You're fired. Just kidding. Well, again, it's really happy to be back over here at Salinas Buddhist Temple, and always wanted to thank you for having me. As Bill said earlier as well, thank you so much to Tom and Mariko for setting up today's Sunday's live service. We again appreciate more than you can know, and without you guys there would be no service. So I'm sure on behalf of the Sangha of Salinas and the Tri-Temples, we appreciate your service. So as you know, it's a lot of talk going on these days, especially with the election that had just been called. And you know, I've grown older, you know, politics and, you know, religion are the gist of my conversations these days. You know, and this is amongst, you know, both friends and strangers completely, you know, and right now, because of this topic of politics, you know, whatever I see on the news, it really just gains national attention. There's no real way of avoiding it, as I'm sure, especially since social media is even more powerful than it was before because of COVID-19. Now we are all tuned in and really following what's going on in politics and the world around us, really. But anyways, you know, I actually had a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and we have opposing viewpoints, you can say. And you know, this conversation had to do actually religion and politics, and you know, the roles that, you know, religion even plays in the process today in state affairs. And during this argument, I really came to the realization that, you know, there's just no way of getting my point across. And it was me and my friend that had just refused each other the last word. And I know you can only imagine what we were talking about. And, you know, especially since both topics, you know, they're not really considered tabletop conversation, religion and politics, but, you know, amongst friends, majority of the time we like to agree to disagree. And, you know, what I realized that, you know, having a disagreement with a friend is that, you know, most people who tend to disagree with our train of thought, you know, are people that usually grab our utmost attention, rather than people we have a conversation about with the same opinions and beliefs as I do. You know, it's really easy to conversate and talk about what we have in common more so than what we have, opposite of that. And that's where conversations, I believe, really get engaged. I understand that we do have conversations at times that, we like to delve into our passions. We have the same passions. We're totally in sync with each other. But it's when we're out of sync that our passions really, I want to say, amplify. And that disagreement tends to brings out the anger in people, And you know what? It has to do a lot with, us human beings and loving familiarity. Like we just kind of are drawn to it. It's not out of our element. Being out of the element and being into the unknown for a human being it's nerve-wracking. We actually had just a conversation earlier about that before we started service, and it can bring someone to depression. It can bring someone to really build up their anxiety. So when we talk about disagreements, when we talk about things being new and unknown, it really messes with the human mind. And again, like I've mentioned, we like to be around like-minded people, but me personally, I've always had this sense of interest of finding out the opposite opinion of mine and why they think the way they do, the opposite viewpoint. And I try to understand, I try to engage by listening, and I respond when necessary. And I'm not perfect. I'm sure like many of us, when we have an opinion, we want our opinion known and we want our opinion sealed in the opposite person's mind. But when people are so opposite in thoughts and beliefs, it begs the question, how can we live in harmony with those who don't agree with me? And I'm sure the majority of the time, at one time or another, we've had thought, the world would really be a better place if everyone, just saw it my way. And Bill's laughing because, it's true. We all have that viewpoint. And you know what? When I want to talk about a little bit, it's about the same topic, but is that, the problem is, it's essentially the problem of self. When we get into arguments, especially political debates, we're really focused on what the other person is saying. How can we disprove this person? And then the conversations itself can get personal at times. And then people can take criticism as attacks on them. And they take that, again, personally, and we kind of retrogress into this stage of, what's the word? Primal instincts, and the Buddhist, suffering is delved into this greed, hatred, and delusion. So again, this self gets so involved, it's almost like a natural response, a primitive response to defend myself no matter what. And we place this self-importance and self-righteousness. We build this, confirmation bias, and we just, we're right, we're wrong. There is no discussion otherwise. And, this really does have an effect on our human psyche. We can't live in harmony with others if we continue to be like this. And we've heard the saying over and over and over. It is like a broken record, but it holds true. It's like the Buddha's Dharma is right there in front of us, but are we listening? Are we practicing? That's the key thing here. We really need to focus on what we're saying, regardless of how often a saying is said. And the saying is, for me, is to live and let live. The truth of the matter that, the very important ingredient for a happy life is the ability to live amongst our peers. And in our environment, we have to understand that there are many paths people can reach, or that paths people can take to reach the same goal. So we really shouldn't be upset, if other people hold their opinions that are, differ from our own. And, again, we live in an ever-changing world. And especially here in the United States, it's a melting pot of different culture, tradition, manners, and opinions. Now think about that again, just what I just said. we have a world that's so diverse, that have so many different beliefs and cultures. Do you really think we're going to agree on it all? Whether it's politics or morality or ethics, will we all agree on that? Probably not. And it's one of those things that, again, we need to we can find these comforts in people that agree with us, but personal growth really occurs when there are differences in view. It'll eventually lead to understanding, and it'll lead to somewhat of a solution, and we really need to listen to the opposite person carefully and see that there probably are some truths that we're not seeing, and because we are blinded in our own opinions and self-righteousness, again, these passions, they will blind us. And again, listening to this, we can, in a sense, give us a chance for self-improvement if we are prepared to change our way of thinking, or not so much change our way of thinking, but to open our minds a little bit more. There was this saying that I had read in a blog, and it said that the world is like a garden filled with different flowers, and like the honeybee gathering from a flower, we should be very selective in choosing what is good and leave behind what is not useful. It is impossible to please everyone, and when we want to do something, because different people have different opinions on any particular issue. So again, what came out of all this? What did I realize? What drives us is ego. The Buddha talked about ego so much, and that was part of the root causes of our suffering. With the ego, we are blinded from truths, and I'd like to say that maybe we should stop and listen to the opposite viewpoint, and again, we'll probably gain some kind of insight or common ground. We have to really allow others the right to differ, and that's living in harmony with others. I want to end the talk with a saying from a French philosopher named Francois Arouet, and it was, a long dispute means both parties are usually wrong. But if I haven't emphasized enough today, keep an open mind. We have winners and we have losers every 4 years in a presidential election. And I see it on both sides. One will brag, the other one will rejoice. The other ones are made to feel like they're not part of the system, or they have somehow failed and they're going to plunge into darkness. And you know what? If Amida Buddha's light is consistently shining on us, it's that whole analogy of that sunlight, grows the lotus flower in the mundane world where the mud and all this stuff grows from. So keep heart, everybody. Please try to live in harmony out there. We are more alike than we are different, and we are all sharing this world together. And I, again, really believe that we can work out the differences that are out there. We just need a discussion. So please, to you Buddhists and non-Buddhists out there, let's start that discussion, and let's rebuild this thought of America. I'm born and raised American. I have family from the Philippines, and we all have cultural and different backgrounds, but here we are in America living together. It may not be perfect, but we're here together. We have the most diverse culture in all the world, and together we can rebuild the idea of America. So again, if I haven't said it enough, let's work together to fix things, okay? So if you could please join me in Gasho for our closing reading. In the words of Renyo Shonin, if one walks looking far ahead and pays no attention to the ground beneath his feet, he will stumble. If one gazes critically upon others and forgets to look into himself, he will bring tragedy upon himself. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Really, thank you for taking the time to listen to me and Bill today. I would like to have you all stand or sit at home again in Gasho for the Gata Ondokusan 2 on page 220 of the large purpose of the book. And then after, we will have a closing reading from Bill Wurtenberg.
Please join me, Gasho. Man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health, and then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives if he's never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
We will now have announcements by Tom.
Good morning, everybody. So we're gone through the election. Everybody's been probably glued to the TV, watching the show on CNN or Fox or whichever you choose. I had this cartoon on Facebook that my friend posted. He said, how come mommy is watching this map show all the time? That was really funny. Anyway, so we move on now that the election is over. So we have a very important Shotsuki and the BWA memorial service next week. So please tune in. It will be officiated by Shinseki Sensei. Only other thing is that we have a bunch of these face masks. It's being offered for $5. It's got our logo, right? So if you would like to have one, please contact me or Mariko and we'll get it to you somehow. Okay? We have quite a few of them still left. Okay. So today's Osanai was set up by Mariko. Thank you, and thank you, Bill. Thank you, Nick, for doing the service today. Very, very much appreciated. Again. So that's it for announcement for this week.
All right, everybody, thank you very much for attending today's November 8th Sunday service here at the Sinless Buddhist Temple. We look forward to seeing you next week with Reverend Shinseki, and myself, I'll be here next week as well. You all take care out there, and again, if me and Bill didn't stress enough, stop, reflect, and think about things before you let the anxiety, anger, hatred, breed itself into your life. So, with Bill's practice and, even meditation at home, saying Namo Amida Butsu, it really will take away some of that anxiety and some of that stuff that you're holding on your shoulders. And we here as a Sangha at Sinless Buddhist Temple, as well as all the other tri-temples, we are Sangha. We are here together to help each other. So reach out to someone else if you need anyone to talk to in this, shelter-in-place time and, election results and whatnot. But regardless, take care again. We'll see you next week. Have a good day, everybody.